My name is William. Just 1 week after my divorce was finalized, my ex-wife went and got married again. Yup, you heard that right. She went on and on about how she finally found her perfect husband. You would have thought she hit the jackpot with how much she bragged about this guy. But when I finally saw this perfect husband she had traded me in for, I couldn't stop laughing. But before you start thinking I'm just being petty or mean, let's take it back to where it all began. Because for you to really get why this is so funny to me now, you need to hear the full story. So let's start from the beginning. I first met my ex-wife when I was just visiting my aunt one weekend. My aunt always liked it when I stopped by, so I made the trip. When I got there, Evelyn happened to be there too. Apparently, she knew my aunt through their church group. They weren't exactly best friends, but close enough that she would swing by now and then to check in or lend a hand. I'll be real with you. The first time I saw Evelyn, I barely even noticed her. Not because she wasn't pretty or anything like that. She was. But you know how sometimes you meet people and they just don't leave a mark on you? That's exactly what it was. We exchanged a few polite words, but that was about it. If you'd asked me a week later to describe her, I probably couldn't have told you a single thing about her. Fast forward a few months later, and I ended up visiting my aunt again. Only this time, Evelyn was there too, but the situation was a little different. She was up and moving, helping my aunt with cleaning around the house, cooking, little things like that. We ended up talking a bit more that day, but the conversation flowed a lot smoother than I expected. I didn't even realize how much time had passed until she said she had to head out. As she was getting ready to leave, my aunt, being her usual nosy but well-meaning self, nudged me a little and whispered, "You better not let that one get away." I laughed it off at the time, thinking she was just being playful. But before Evelyn left, she casually pulled out her phone and said, "Hey, let's stay in touch." I gave her my number, she gave me hers. After she left, my aunt teased me even more. She made some joke about how I was hooked already, which made me laugh. I didn't think much of it back then. But looking back now, I realize that was the beginning. I just didn't know it yet. We started talking, and we would text throughout the day. Sometimes we'd talk on the phone for hours at night. She always seemed interested in whatever nonsense I was rambling about. One thing I made sure of early on was that she was actually single. My aunt, who knew her through church, had already confirmed it without me even asking. That gave me the green light to relax and just see where things would go. After a few weeks of talking, I finally worked up the nerve to ask Evelyn out. She smiled and said yes. We set up our first date for the following weekend, and from there, everything just started to fall into place. The dating phase between us was easy. We dated for a few years before we even talked seriously about marriage. I figured people who rush into marriage often crash and burn because they never took the time to really know each other. Eventually, after years of dating, we decided it was time. We got married with a belief that we had done everything right. But sometimes, life doesn't work the way you think it will. I see it clearly now. We took the slow path, believing it would guarantee our married life. But it didn't. After our wedding, I settled into a new job that paid better than anything I'd ever had before. At the time, it felt like the smartest move I could make for us. The only problem was that it meant I had to travel a lot, flying out of state for days, sometimes even weeks at a time. I hated being away, but I saw it as a temporary sacrifice for a long-term win. Bring in good money now, set us up comfortably, and later on, I could find something more stable closer to home. It made sense to me. I thought it would make sense to my newly wedded wife, Evelyn too. At first, she seemed supportive. But as the trips piled up, so did the tension. What used to be a warm goodbye kiss turned into a stiff nod. Instead of asking when I'd be back, she started saying things like, "Of course you have another trip." I tried to explain to her again and again that I wasn't doing this because I wanted to be away from her. The money was important. But no matter how many times I tried to explain, she wouldn't understand. To her, it just looked like I was choosing work over her. I'd walk in the door, exhausted from a red-eye flight, and she'd start snapping about stuff that could have been brushed off. She started accusing me of things I hadn't even dreamed of doing. She'd ask straight-faced if I was sleeping around during my trips. She told me it made perfect sense to her. In her mind, It wasn't the work wearing me out. It was some other woman. At first, I figured if I didn't give her accusations any weight, they'd die off on their own. I stayed calm, told her she was wrong, and I loved her. But it didn't stop. It only got worse. Being at home started feeling like stepping into a courtroom where I was always the defendant, and she was the angry prosecutor. I started finding excuses to stay out longer when I was back, anything to avoid the minefield that waited for me behind our front door. Even with all that distance, even trying to stay out of the line of fire, nothing changed. The coldness between us just deepened. And the sad part was, I wasn't happy being away either. I even started looking for other jobs, ones that would keep me closer to home. But the few offers I got barely paid enough to scrape by. It felt like no matter what I did, I was choosing between being broke or being lonely. And neither one felt like a real win. I remember coming back home after one of my work trips, and when I walked through the door, she greeted me with a small smile. At first, I thought she had finally gotten tired of fighting. Or she realized that we were both better off if we just let the small stuff go. For a while, I concluded that things were getting better. But it didn't take long before I noticed something else. Evelyn wasn't always at home much anymore. She'd say she was running errands or going to her friend's house. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I didn't want to be that guy accusing his wife of cheating just because she had a life outside the house. So I kept it to myself at first. But deep down, that gut feeling had already started to grow, and it was only getting louder. One afternoon, Evelyn told me, like she always did, that she was heading to her friend's place. I just nodded and watched her leave. A few hours later, I was sitting in the living room when the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and the same friend Evelyn claimed she was with was standing right at the door, asking if Evelyn was home. I just stood there for a second, not even knowing what to say. I invited her in, while thinking about what I should do. After a few minutes, I picked up my phone and called Evelyn. She answered, and when I asked where she was, she said, without hesitation, that she was at her friend's place. I looked over at her friend sitting on the couch right across from me and felt a wave of anger and sadness at once. I asked Evelyn, "Is your friend there with you?" She answered without missing a beat, "Yes, she's right here." That was it. She had lied straight to my face without even flinching. I didn't say anything else. I just told her, "All right, see you later," and hung up, sitting there looking at her friend, who clearly didn't know what was going on. I decided I would wait until she walked back through that door. She owed me an explanation, and this time there was no talking her way out of it. When Evelyn finally came home later that evening, I was ready. I asked her straight out, "Where were you today?" She repeated the same lie, talking about how she had spent the whole afternoon at her friend's house. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I just told her calmly that her friend had been at our house looking for her. I watched her face shift. At first, she stuck to the lie, said I must have been mistaken. I asked her to call her friend right there and then to clear it up. That's when she refused. Gave excuses about how it would be awkward, how she didn't want to drag her friend into our drama. The second she realized the lies weren't working, she changed gears completely. Instead of apologizing or even admitting anything, she started attacking me. She said I had abandoned her emotionally long before she started going out, that I was always choosing work over her, that maybe if I had been a better husband, she wouldn't have needed someone else. She even threw accusations at me, claiming I must have had someone on the side too, since I traveled so much. It was like she wanted to flip everything around, so I'd be the villain and she could be the victim. Eventually, she admitted there was someone else, someone who made her feel seen and appreciated. Told me point blank that he was better than I ever were. She didn't hold back. She went on and on about how wonderful he was, how attentive, how supportive, how different from me. The moment Evelyn finally came clean about seeing someone else, I didn't try to change her mind, and I sure didn't beg. I called a lawyer the next morning and filed for divorce. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but at the same time, it was the easiest. When someone shows you they don't value you anymore, you don't stand there asking for more punishment. You leave. I didn't want to live another day pretending we still had something to save. Now, for anyone who hasn't been through it, let me tell you, divorce is not quick. It's not like the movies where someone slaps papers on a table and it's over the next day. It's slow, messy, and it drags everything out. There were court dates, meetings with lawyers, paperwork that felt endless, and the emotional weight of it all was something I wouldn't wish on anybody. Every small decision, who keeps what, who pays for what, turns into a battle. And you have to stay calm through it all, because the system isn't about who hurts the most. It's about what's fair on paper. While the divorce process was dragging on, Evelyn didn't seem bothered at all. She packed up her things, moved right in with her so-called Prince Charming. Our few conversations after she moved out were rough. Every time we had to talk, usually about the legal stuff or about splitting up our belongings, she made it a point to throw little jabs at me. She would smile and say things like, "Well, you were never really enough for me anyway," or, "Thank God I found someone who actually knows how to treat a woman." I won't lie, those words cut deep at first. But after a while, I realized I had to stop letting her words live rent-free in my head. I couldn't control what she said or did anymore, but I could control how I reacted. After almost a full year of court dates, paperwork, and negotiations, the divorce was finally finalized. Evelyn ended up getting a few things from the settlement, but I kept most of what mattered. In the end, I walked away with my head held high and my dignity intact, and that was worth more than anything she could have taken from me. It was exactly 1 week after the divorce papers were signed when I heard the news. Someone told me, almost in passing, that Evelyn had already gotten remarried. I remember just blinking for a second, like, wait, what? I thought there would at least be some gap between relationships. But no, apparently she wasted no time in tying the knot with her new man. I didn't get angry, though. I only wished good luck to them. I didn't plan to ever see her again. But life is funny sometimes. About a month later, I was running errands one afternoon when I bumped into them, Evelyn and her new husband. She saw me first, and the smile on her face dropped like a stone. The second I laid eyes on the guy, I started laughing. Here she was, always bragging during the divorce about how her new man was so much better, richer, stronger, more everything. And here he was, a small, scruffy-looking guy who looked like he still lived with his mom. I stood there, thinking to myself, is this what she betrayed me for? This was her idea of trading up? She just grabbed his arm and dragged him away, like a kid trying to hide a broken toy. I wished them a good day and kept walking. I wasn't laughing because I hated her or because I was bitter. I was laughing because I realized right then and there that I had dodged a bullet, a big one. And there was no part of me that wanted to go back and fix anything. Walking away from that moment, I felt lighter than I had in a long time. Just a deep, peaceful feeling that I had finally closed a door that needed to stay closed. Evelyn made her choice, and so did I. And in the end, I think I got the better deal. My freedom, my peace, and a future wide open in front of me. After the divorce, I made a decision early on. I wasn't going to jump into another relationship right away. I needed time to just be by myself, to heal, to figure out what I even wanted moving forward. Funny enough, after the divorce, one of Evelyn's friends started being a little extra nice to me. She would check in often, send friendly texts, and make small talk whenever we bumped into each other around town. Still, I tried not to think too much about it. After everything I had just been through, the last thing I wanted was to get caught up in anything complicated. I needed a break from drama, not a second helping of it. Looking back, there are a few hard truths I had to learn the painful way. The first is that no amount of patience can fix someone who is determined to misunderstand you. I spent years trying to explain myself, trying to be reasonable, trying to be understanding. But if someone is already set on seeing you as the bad guy, it doesn't matter how calmly you talk or how hard you try. They will twist your words, your actions, even your good intentions into something ugly. And that's not your fault. Another lesson is you can't lose someone who was never really with you in the first place. I used to think losing Evelyn meant I had failed, that I had let something valuable slip through my fingers. But the truth is, she had checked out long before we signed the divorce papers. She was physically there, but emotionally, she had left the marriage a long time ago. I share all this not because I want anyone to feel sorry for me, but because maybe someone out there needs to hear it. Maybe you're stuck trying to fix something that can't be fixed. Or you're blaming yourself for someone else's decision to walk away. If that's you, I hope you'll take it from me. Peace is better than pretending. Freedom is better than forcing something that hurts you. Anyway, that's my story. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Have you ever been through something similar? What did you learn from it? Let's talk about it.